Welcome back to Pool School. Today's lesson is probably going to be one of the most important lessons on this channel because I am going to be teaching you about algae and algicides and why you don't need them. So what do you say we dive right in? So you might be asking yourself, why in the world is this guy inside today? Well, in Arizona, it's monsoon season, and right now, we're in the middle of a monsoon. It's raining outside, there's dust everywhere, the wind is blowing like crazy, so I thought it'd be better that I stay inside and not get doused or dusted. So, as I stated earlier, this lesson is about algae and algicides and why you don't need algicides. In fact, algicide is probably one of the biggest scams in the pool service industry, and you really don't need it. And as this lesson goes on, you'll understand why. First, a quick education about algae. Algae is an airborne spore, basically meaning it's in the air everywhere. It floats around and it falls in your pool, it falls down everywhere, okay? Algae, when it hits your pool, is pretty much harmless unless it has a food source, and that's the critical element to remember, okay? The sole food source for algae, listen carefully, is phosphates. I'll say it again because it's that important. The sole food source for algae is phosphates. If algae doesn't get phosphates, it can't live. It starves to death and it can't grow. So the key to dealing with algae in your pool is to eliminate phosphates. So let's say you've got an algae problem in your pool. Okay, before you run to the store and buy a ton of chemicals and a bunch of algicides, which you don't need, first and foremost, do the following. Number one, check to make sure that your filter is clean. If you have a sand filter or a DE filter, you can backwash it, and you can go back to my lessons on those and learn how to do that if you need to. If it's a cartridge filter, you're going to want to make sure the cartridges are clean as well. Okay? Number two, you want to make sure that there is proper flow through your system. And again, back to one of my earliest lessons about your basic pool system, and there's adequate flow. You want to make sure that there's nothing impeding that flow. Valves are open on the suction and return side, and that also that the baskets, the skimmer and pump basket, are empty, so there's nothing impeding that flow. Thirdly, you want to make sure that your filter is running long enough in order for filtration to occur and chemistry to be moved around the pool, okay? And again, one of my lessons on standard times to run your equipment, you want to look at that to see how many hours you need to be running it in different seasons, okay? And lastly, okay, you're going to want to make sure that your chemistry is correct. You can go back to my lessons on chemistry, but you want to make sure that your chlorine, your pH, and your alkalinity levels are all in the ideal range. Okay, that's super, super important. So, you've got all those things checked out. You've made sure that your system's functioning properly in your pool. Chemistry's good, and you've got algae. Okay, so you can, if you want to, take a sample of your pool water to a pool supply company and have them test the water for phosphates. Chances are it'll be very, very high. And remember what I said, phosphates are the sole food source for algae. No food, algae starves, can't grow, it dies, okay? Know this as well. Algae, when it dies, releases, you guessed it, phosphates. In fact, any vegetation, if it falls in your pool, as it starts to decompose, it releases phosphates. And phosphates are in the air as well. Again, because they're airborne and dust carries them. So when we have big monsoons and these big dust storms that we have in Arizona, the amount of phosphates that gets into pools is off the charts. So again, you can take the time and take your water sample into the pool supply company and have them check it out. Don't let them sell you some algicide though, okay? Or you can just guess that everything is working right and you still got algae, you have a phosphate issue. So kill the phosphates. So, very simple. There are two things that I do when it comes to dealing with algae in pools. And this is the time of year when it tends to happen. First, all right, and it's not necessarily in any order, I get a tub of trichlor, trisodium chloride, or trichlor granules. Okay, HTH makes some. There's a lot of different ones. Some of them are called Algae Out, but you want to get some trichlor, okay? Then I will also pick up a product that kills phosphates, okay, or a phosphate remover. By far, bar none, the best phosphate remover on the market today, and I have experienced most all of them, is a product called PR10000. I'm going to say that again, PR10000. I'm going to put a picture up of it right now. It comes in gallon jugs and quart-sized jugs. And it is fantastic. For the money and for the way it works, there's nothing better. So, you have your phosphate remover and you have your trichlor granules. And regardless of which phosphate remover you get, you want to read the instructions on the back so you know how much to use for your pool. For example, out here with PR10000, if I have a play pool, which is a standard pool that doesn't have a deep end, they run about 10,000 to 15,000 gallons. If I've got a lot of algae, and I know that the phosphates are really high, I'm going to put about 9 to 12 ounces of phosphate remover of PR10000 in that pool while the equipment is running, on top of adding about a pound or a scoopful of trichlor shock into the system as well. Really important, you might not want to have somebody jump in the pool for about 4 hours after you put your chemicals in there. It's not going to be super dangerous, but somebody with sensitive skin or sensitive eyes, it could be irritating to them. So make sure your equipment's running, pour that stuff in the pool, let it distribute, and let the motor run. Okay, let it disperse all of that chemistry, and it'll start to kill the phosphates. And the algae will start to die for two reasons: because of the trichlor, and it will also start to die because it's starving. There's no food source for it anymore, okay? Now remember this, what I said earlier. When algae dies, it releases phosphates, okay? So if you don't take care of those phosphates as it's dying, what's going to happen? The new algae spores, which are constantly falling into your pool, will have a new food source from the old algae that died, and it will just feed and grow again. This is one of the biggest reasons why algaecides do not work. They will kill the algae, but they do nothing to deal with the phosphates that are released when the algae dies. So you have this vicious cycle, and pretty soon you're dumping more and more of those algaecides in your pool. Here's another reason I don't like algaecides, and I think they are very bad. Most algaecides contain some kind of heavy metal, such as copper or silver. And those heavy metals are in your pool, and you're constantly adding them because of that vicious cycle, and you're bathing in that stuff and absorbing it through the largest organ of your body, which is your skin. There is so much information out there about the dangers of heavy metals to human health that you should not be putting those things in your pool and then absorbing them through your skin. So stay away from them. You don't need it. Kill the algae with the trichlor, kill the food source of the algae, which is phosphates, and you won't have algae. One other thing to keep in mind: after you have killed the algae in your pool and you've put that phosphate remover in there, about 4 or 5 days later, you're going to want to backwash your filter again. If you have a cartridge filter, you really don't need to clean the cartridges again, but it just helps if you have a sand or DE filter to backwash it. You're going to want to add some more phosphate remover. And again, follow the instructions on the back based on the gallonage of your pool. Follow the instructions on the back of your phosphate remover based on the gallonage of your pool. With the PR10000, again, with a standard play pool, I'll put another 6 to 8 ounces in there, just to make sure that the phosphates that were released when the algae died are taken care of, so there's no more food source for the new algae that comes in. So that's how you deal with algae and why you don't need algaecides. I hope that all makes sense to you. Again, I want to thank you all for watching, and I want to thank you all for all your responses. I've been getting a lot of comments and a lot of views and a lot of subscribers, so I ask that you would continue to like and share these videos with friends that you know that have pools who want to do it themselves, because they could be saving a ton of money. Again, if you have any questions, feel free to post them in the comment section below this video, or you can email me directly at kennypoolschool@gmail.com. Once again, that's kennypoolschool@gmail.com. It should appear right there. And until the next time, remember, have fun, be safe, and always, always, always have a designated watcher to watch your kids around water. We'll see you next time.